It's been a while since I last played Street Fighter 6. After trying the game in the first season and dabbling a small amount in Season 2, life happened, and I didn't have much motivation to play the game. However, with the reveal of Season 4 and the announcement that the first character releasing was going to be a rushdown character, I did say if I was ever going to get back into Street Fighter 6, this character would have the greatest chance of getting me in. And then I got a sponsor opportunity for this exact character. Wow! So thank you, Capcom, for sponsoring this video. Let's talk about Yasmine. Going into Year 4, Street Fighter has announced that the new Season Pass is going to be bursting at the seams with new characters. We have the aforementioned Yasmine, as well as the two newcomers, Arjun and Bosch. Yes, Bosch was in the World Tour mode, but don't worry about that, he's completely new. Now, you may know if you've stuck around this channel for a while, I'm a bit of a sucker when it comes to completely new characters in fighting games. So this Season Pass has me very excited. Could there be another reason that I'm excited for this Season Pass? Who could say? I am extremely happy that Yasmine was the first of the characters to be released, though. High rushdown character with an empowered state that gives new properties to a Wrecker attack? That is so up my alley, I would assume the character was made for me. On the outside, Yasmine is a shy and gentle person, being extremely timid in day-to-day life. Speaking to her normally, you'd assume she's no more dangerous than a fly. A little harmless bee that buzzes around, pollinating the plants around her and making everyone's life a little bit brighter. And then, when she gets into a fight, she puts her hair up, pulls out a knife, and Jesus Christ! In battle, she is extremely energetic. A lot of screaming, a lot of charging up, extremely quick and flashy moves, stabbing people with her karambit, and then posting it to FooTube. She, of course, has a purpose, though. She's looking for her older brother. She used to spar with him almost every day until one day he magically disappeared. It was at that point that she lost all motivation to fight and spent her days doom-scrolling on FooTube. Damn, girl, it'll be okay. But she's back, and she's gonna find her brother. She's got this. Probably. So what does she actually do in a fight? Well, let's look at her special moves. Okay, really quick, two things. First, I'm gonna be using numpad notation for all of her special moves. If you don't know what numpad notation is, either look at the numpad on your keyboard, which you definitely have in front of you right now, right? Or look at this image. I will audibly say things like quarter circle forward, back, or DP input, but the display on the screen is going to be numpads. I will also have modern control inputs displayed next to it, even though all of the footage is shown in classic controls, and I'm going to be describing it as if it's classic controls, just because that's how I play the game. Second, I'm not Filipino. I'm gonna try my best to pronounce these special move names, but you're gonna have to be patient with me. If I mess it up, I'm really sorry. But it also wouldn't be the first time. Her quarter circle forward punch is Dale non tubing. This is a two-hitting Wrecker attack that has different properties depending on the strength that is used. Pressing forward and punch after the first hit, or forward in any attack on modern controls, gets you Alon. The follow-up you get is based on the strength of the original attack used. Light keeps the opponent standing, and medium causes a knockdown. Heavy sends the opponent flying in the air, but unfortunately you're not able to combo off of it. Yet, because there is an extra special thing to this move. After connecting the attack while you are unempowered, Yasmine enters Bayani. This is an empowered state that affects this attack by changing the properties of the follow-ups. Light, now hard knockdowns, medium allows for a follow-up, and heavy sends you to the moon, while also allowing you to continue a combo. You can get the Bayani mode in several different ways, however, using Alon will always expend it, even if Alon is blocked. This move is generally not that safe on block, so you don't want to use it as a pressure tool. However, if you do have Bayani, it is worth just sort of sending the follow-up, because it does make you safe. The unempowered live version also causes the opponent to just be standing, giving you a pretty free strike throw mix-up directly in their face. This is your bread and butter combo tool. You're going to be using it at basically every opportunity. Her quarter circle back punch, or back S, is Talanglong Tangyin. This is an advancing mid-hitting move that goes about half screen. The light version is a complete fake out. Yasmine just sort of does a little spin in place. You can use this to bait your opponent into a bad situation, or you can even use it to cancel off the normals and then go for some kind of strike throw mix-up if you're really in the opponent's head. Medium and heavy, though, go about half screen. If they connect, it actually puts Yasmine into Bayani mode. Heavy can also be comboed directly out of when it actually hits. Meaning if you can find a way to combo into it, you can get a large amount of corner carry as well as a pretty decent amount of damage. On block, medium is actually safe, but you're still a little bit negative, so you basically give up your turn, whereas heavy is plus on block. However, the startup of heavy is much greater than the other attacks, meaning it's really hard to get this actually in neutral. Considering it only goes half screen, you don't really want to be using this as a constant approach tool. Using it in pressure with other tools that Yasmine has can actually be really rewarding, and the light fake out can make it so that your opponent is scared to mash if you go for the heavy version. The OD version launches the opponent for a combo, but is super negative on block, meaning if you mess it up, your opponent's going to get a very easy punish off of you. This is a bit more of a universal tool. I wouldn't necessarily say you should use it in neutral, just because it's a very good way to get yourself whiff punished, but it's super useful in combos and pressure. Her quarter circle back kick, or down and special, is Mukanong Langi. This is a demon flip, for lack of a better term. Yasmine propels herself forward, doing literal flips as she does. The strength of the button that you press determines how far the trajectory is. Light is close, heavy is far, and medium is somewhere in between. Modern inputs depends on what direction you press before you press special. The down back, close, down forward, far. This has two separate follow-ups. K gives you a same side hitting kick that sends her downwards at an angle. This is a dive kick. Like literally, it's just a dive kick. If you play Street Fighter, you probably know the properties of dive kicks. But if you don't, basically, this is able to get a combo if it hits steep enough, and it has variable frame data depending on where it hits. You can make this move not only safe on block, but it is very finicky. Likelihood is you're going to be losing your turn unless you actually get a hit, but if you hit it at a very steep angle and hit the toes of the opponent, then it will be your turn, and you can abuse that advantage with a light attack. Her punch gives you a spinning overhead attack that actually hits behind her. This is a dedicated cross-up tool. On hit, you can actually get a small combo off of it, and it can be quite useful for mixing up the opponent in weird situations. If you hit directly above the opponent, it seems like it can hit on the same side, so you can make it quite ambiguous if you really get the timing right. However, most of the times I've used this attack, it's not ended well for me. It seems like something that's going to be very good for Oki. Once people figure out how to get specific setups where we can use this with a safe jump, it's going to be extremely useful. However, the way that I ended up using it was basically a throw all caution to the wind and fly at my opponent kind of tool. Very useful and very funny, but it's definitely one of the moves that's going to need to be developed a little bit more before I'm comfortable constantly using it. Her DP kick, or forward special, is Lipadnong Aguila. This is her DP. She flies up in the air and does a series of kicks. Very good for an anti-air attack if your opponent is constantly jumping in on you. The OD version as well is fully invincible, meaning that in a pinch, you can use it to get out of a very tight situation. It honestly seems like a pretty good DP. It goes at a very nice angle, and using the different attacks changes the angle slightly. So yeah, get used to using this if your opponents are jumping in on you a lot. Finally, her down punch is Pangil Talikuran. This is her only projectile, but it's a boomerang! This is honestly one of the most fun projectiles I've ever messed around with in any fighting game. Yasmine throws an energy boomerang upwards into the air. Depending on the strength of the version used, the boomerang will go a set amount of distance before coming back to her. This is useful for multiple things. Considering that it goes upwards, you can actually use this as an anti-air. If they're kind of out of the DP range, but they're still jumping at you, this can genuinely catch some opponents. The really far away version can catch opponents who are jumping at the other end of the screen. Not only that, but because it loops back around, even if it whiffs the opponent, it's going to come back and it's going to force them to have to deal with it later. So this is very good for baiting out parries, as well as getting your opponent to jump or try to do an aggressive stance. Unironically, doing this at full screen with the heavy version and then drive rushing in is a very good way to just completely skip neutral. since your opponent is going to have to deal with the boomerang coming back, as well as Yasmine running directly into their face. You can also use it in combos. I found that the light version is very good at creating small frame traps, which you can abuse against the opponent, as well as creating actual true combo strings. This move just feels really interesting. It's got a lot of utility, entirely because it does the come back around and it hits them in the back of the head. You're going to be using it for basically everything. Pressure, combos, anti-airing, and also just a panic option when you're not entirely sure what to do. It's an insanely fun projectile. I love it so much. Finally, let's get on to her supers. Her level 1 is Hiwanong Kalaningtang. This is an invincible strike move that sends Yasmine up into the air and plummeting back down with a flurry of energy blade attacks. This gives you Bayani on hits, and is very useful in a pinch considering it is invincible. It also does a pretty good amount of damage. It's a relatively reliable level 1 invincible super. Her level 2 is Nakatatong Lakas. This is an install state in which Yasmine is constantly in Bayani mode for the duration of the super. It naturally lasts 25 seconds, however it loses a quarter of the gauge whenever a Bayani move is used. This does allow for unique combo situations, as well as acting as a cancel from OD moves. Since using the super obviously puts you back into a neutral state, you can cancel just about any OD move that hits into the super, and cash it out for a bunch of plus frames, which gives you new combos. She also gains access to back double kick, also known as Linyanang Liwanag. This is a very fast dash attack that crosses through the opponent and juggles them on hits. It is extremely cool, and it scratches a very particular itch in my brain, which I really like. I wish I could use this more, but I'm very bad at using her level 2, so we'll keep it at that. And finally, her level 3 is, oh my god. Pamomong kakad nagsampiguit Pamomong kakad nagsampiguit kata Pamomong kakad Pamomong kakad nagsampagita Pamomong kakad nagsamguit Fuck! Pamomong kakad nagsampagwita. That's as close as we're gonna get. This is your big cash out damage super. It has full invincibility on startup and does a bunch of damage. Obviously, on low health, this turns into your critical art, which gives you a new, even flashier animation. Very good for closing out a round, and extremely useful for cashing out for a bunch of damage. So how does Yasmine actually play? Well, she is an extremely fast strike throw heavy mix-up character. A lot of her moves leave the opponent in a state where they are immediately going to be taking some kind of mix-up, as well as giving Yasmine way more power in a situation than the opponent has. Using a quadricycle forward punch allows for the next situation that she's in to be way more enhanced for her. And when you get really good, you'll be able to find situations where you're able to refresh your Bayani constantly, meaning that you're always in a state of advantage over your opponents. She still has to play by the rules of Street Fighter. She's not going to be going around doing anime game cross-through, left-right mix-ups. We're not at that level yet. But she is definitely very good at controlling the space and forcing the opponent to dance to her tune. And the boomerang! Oh my god, the boomerang! It's just so fun to throw it out and see what happens. I absolutely adore this projectile. It might be my new favorite projectile in Street Fighter. Honestly, getting pretty close to my new favorite projectile, period. She is extremely fun. And even though she seems pretty complicated, she's not actually that hard to pick up and play. I managed to somehow get to, like, low diamond, despite not playing the game in several years. And I was keeping my own, you know. I was anti-airing. I was dealing with drive impacts. I did alright. So if you like high-intensity rush-down characters, go down to the link in the description to get Yasmine and the Season 4 pass today. Like I said, there's a lot of exciting things in this one, like Tifa Lockhart from the Final Fantasy VII Remake series. And if you don't know, I really like Tifa. Thank you again to Capcom for the sponsorship. Please go to the link below and get the new season of Street Fighter. I hope we can do things like this in the future. This was a lot of fun, and a very nice change of pace for me. It's always fun going back and checking a game that you haven't played in a while. Will I stick around with Yasmine? Yeah, maybe. I'm going to see how she develops over the next couple of days, and then see if I want to jump back in. But I will say, playing her has been the most fun I've had in Street Fighter in quite a while. So, good job. Thank you all for watching. I'll hopefully see you all next time.